For my next review, I am doing The Sound of Freedom. This movie came out in 2023 and it is rated PG 13. My family members have wanted me to watch this film for a while. I was the only one in my family that was never able to go and watch it in the theaters. Either I didn't make time or I just was doing something else. I recently got this film on Blu-ray and I have a physical copy, so that's how I was able to watch this film now. I was worried that with a film like this being made and distributed by a Christian film company, I was worried that this film was going to self-censor and pull their punches. Because a lot of times when Christian companies make films like this or distribute films like this, they have a tendency to censor things because they don't want to offend or cause problems. Well, I'm happy to report that this film did the complete opposite. There are reasons why Hollywood was trying to slander and badmouth this movie the way it did. This movie is nothing short of fantastic. This movie is not perfect, mind you. I do have a few problems with it. One of the main problems I have is I did feel like the music was fine. I've heard better soundtracks from other movies that did similar stories to this, and the other thing that I felt like this movie could have cut was the whole jungle sequence when Jim Caviezel's character is in the jungle rescuing the sister from a bunch of rebels. I felt like that whole aspect of the movie could have been cut out because it feels like it was just filmed just to pad the time of this movie. It feels that whole sequence felt out of place because everything else in the movie was really good, and just the whole rebel sequence felt like it was made up for this movie, and I felt like they did not need to do that. I felt like if they would have just made it to where Jim Caviezel was able to rescue both siblings on the island and then reunite both children with their father and still have the exact same ending, I felt like this movie would have been better for it, but that's not the movie I'm dealing with. I'm judging this movie as is, and that is what they decided to go. So, other than those few nitpicks I have, this movie is still fantastic. It is still very well written everywhere else. Jim Caviezel pulls in an Oscar-worthy performance because he knocks it out of the park. He is just fantastic in this film. The siblings, the child actors, I thought they did a fine job. They weren't on screen a whole lot, so they were able to minimize their performances. But with what they were given, I thought they did a great job as well. And the side cast of characters, I thought everyone did a fantastic job as well. One of my favorite characters in this film, I don't remember his name, but he's the ex-cartel member that started a business of rescuing children and putting them in safe houses. I thought he was one of the best characters in the movie because there is a backstory I'm not going to spoil that he goes tells Jim Caviezel's character why he was doing what he was doing, and that one will hit you in the feels once he actually explains why he's doing what he's doing. The pacing in this film as well is very good, except for the whole rebel jungle sequence. Like I've stated before, that whole part feels out of place, but everything else, the pacing is very good. The movie feels like it's not too long and it's not too short. I thought that most of the scenes were very well done, and whenever they were getting to some of the darkest moments in this movie, I thought they cut away at the perfect moment, and I thought they lingered just enough when like someone pulls the curtains back. I thought they were able to do some of those to set the mood and atmosphere of this movie very well. There are a few scenes like that, and I thought they did a very good job in that department with being very careful with this sort of material that they're working with and the story that they were telling. And before I forget, one other thing that I thought that I did notice was some of the scene transitions were a bit weird. One in particular is when the father of the two children is looking for when he finds out that they're missing and he's looking. I felt like the cut when it cuts from him onto Jim Caviezel, I felt like that was a weird cut, and there were a few other parts in this movie that had weird transitions. Overall, that is a nitpick on my part, and I still enjoyed this movie immensely. What this movie is, I thought they did a fantastic job. And in my honest opinion, this movie deserved to get nominated for an award because this movie is excellent. But unfortunately, with how Hollywood is and with how the awards are, there is no way this film was going to get awarded anything. Those are my overall thoughts on Sound of Freedom, and my final score for Sound of Freedom is a very high 8 out of 10. I cannot give this movie any higher because of some of the transitions and that whole rebel sequence. That does take a whole point away from me. If that rebel part was not in here, I could have easily given this movie a 9. That is a sizable chunk of this movie, and that did drag the movie down for me. But this is just my own personal score and review. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments on if you've seen Sound of Freedom or if you are interested in the movie now because of my review. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching, and as always, this is Marauder. I'm out.